Hey guys, it's lovely to have your company here on my Hunkydory Crafts YouTube channel, where once again we're going to be having a look at a concept and we're going to create it in black and white forum. So thank you so much for all the love for the previous one, certainly that last one that we posted. I love seeing the fact that so many of you love it and going to try it. And for those that continue to subscribe, thank you very much for giving me the thumbs up. Thank you very much. And if you want, if you hit that bell notification, you'll be alerted every single time I pop one of these up. Right, this one, what we're going to do is, this is something that many would maybe think of as being quite simple once you get the head around, but of course it's only simple when you know how, and that is a Z-fold card. I know sometimes many can struggle with the way that you actually add that panel strip, getting your head around how to decorate it. We're of course doing it black and white form. I do have an example here just to show you, but for those that do struggle, or if you are a beginner or relatively new and you want to do something that's to you a little bit more advanced, but to many will be like, wow, then hopefully this is going to help. So let's have a look and see exactly what we're on about. And this is a Z-fold card. So if you're ignoring the toppers, what you have got is you've got that ability to then come along and then add the actual decoration yourself. It is a 6x6 card. You can do these in different sizes. It doesn't have to be this 6x6. But what we are going to do is we're going to do it from an 8x8 card blank so that you can then do the base and that panel strip all from that one. So for this one, if we take our 8x8 card blank that I've got here, and let's just give that a burnish, and then we're going to go in with our guillotine. Now everything that I am using I will link, including this collection that I'd used for, of course, the Z-fold card, which was from our Patchwork pals, being the premium paper pad. So I will link that where possible within the description. So let's take our card blank, let's get it to that opening way, which is that way. So what I'm going to do for this one is let's trim that to 6 inch. So that's where we've got the fold on the left hand side, and I've trimmed that excess off at 6 inch. So I'm going to turn it around so that we've got that hinge at the top, and then we're going to turn that and cut. So what I've now got is a 6 inch card blank, and I've also got a 6x2 mini card blank. So that's what I've got, and that's what's going to then create that Z-fold panel that runs along that centre there. You can do it separately, taking a 6x6 card blank and then taking some of your own cardstock and then creating your own little mini card blank that is 6x2 inches. It's entirely up to yourself, but that is an easy way of doing it. Just going in by a 6x6 card blank. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to move that. We won't need it out I won't need it again because we can go to our small paper trimmer because it's 6x6. But what we're going to do is let's take our scoreboard. So what we're going to do is we're going to just open that one up, turn that over, and then we're going to score it halfway, which is of course 3 inch. So let's score at 3 inch, and then we're going to fold back on itself. So if we fold back on itself here, we've now got the start of our Z-fold card. What we're going to do is exactly the same. So we're just going to open it up, we're going to then come along and we're going to score at 3 inch, and then we're going to fold back on itself, and then we've got two that, other than the size, are exactly the same. And then what you're going to do here, lift it up, turn it over, and then when we start to stick that down, there is your Z-fold. So once again, that's how it would be once you've trimmed it. You could, if you wanted to, score it all first, then trim it the 2 inch off the bottom. It's entirely up to you. But either way, what you're then going to do is just flip that over, and then that becomes your Z fold card. It's up to you. Do you want it in the middle, which I tend to do? You can have it further down if you want to. You can have it further up if you want. And what you could even do is you could do a couple of them if you wanted to. And then you could do like one there. Or you might want this one, cut it in half again, so it's going to be 1 inch strips, and have one here, one further up. It's entirely up to you. Entirely up to you. So let's go in with our cardstock, and we're going to do the mats and layers. So for all of these, I like to mat and layer the insides as well as, well, they're both, in some ways, they're both insides, aren't they? Insides, and then the inside, which would be the outside. You get where I'm going. And then I would leave the back for my insert, which I'd done in the previous tutorial that I posted. So let's take our guillotine and then let's cut that one. So that's 6 by 6. So let's do 5 3/4. It's not quite straight. 5 and, that's not straight either. Let's find, there we go. 6 or 6, 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. I just want to make sure that that's all straight now, which it is. Pop that out the way. What we can do now is these panels, so they are 6 by 3.5. So let's do 3 1/4 by 5 3/4. That's going to be, no it's not. Why did I say 3.5? It's not, it's 3 inches. So let's do 2 3/4, because 3 is half of 6, Craig. Got there in the end. That's my back panel. Do want to cut that. So once again, let's do 2 3/4 by 5 3/4, and I want to do another 2. So will I get that? No. No. And will I get that? No. Okay. I was trying to see if I could get as much as I can out of the one piece of card, so I'm going to have to go that way. And I should, yep, get one out of there. 2 3/4 by 5 3/4. I'm also just, let me just make sure I've got, always double check your cardstock, because sometimes if you go to a mat and layer, if your card isn't exactly like a 90 degree corner, if your card's not exactly a 90 degree corner for whatever reason, therefore all your mats and layers are going to be out. And it's nothing wrong with the cardstock if that's happened. It's just in the manufacturing where it's been cut, it's maybe moved slightly on the big industrial guillotines. There could be many reasons for it not to be 100% straight, so to speak, when it's been layered onto the guillotine. So all you want to do is, when you are away to cut your card, just make sure your 90 degree is exactly at a 90 degree corner or angle, and then you'll know all your other layers will be perfect. So that's going to be the front and then the 2 sides. Let's do what I've done in the last video as well. Let's go to do our insert as if we were doing an insert. So when I said about making sure it is 90 degree, so I'm using my guillotine, and then I'm just going to come to the nearest 1/4 inch. So it happens to be 5 inch. Now I can just see it's just a teeny little bit of an angle. I'm on the 5 inch mark, but I'm just over the 5 inch mark there. The other way to do it as well is along the top, and then you just want to make sure, if you go down at the end, so I am flush against that metal base, if I look down here, I'm just over by a little slither. That could be enough to dent your confidence if it's not creating the straight matting layers. So just things like that you want to do. Now that I know that's exactly 90 degrees because it is straight along the top and straight along the side there. Now I know that that's exactly 90 degrees. I'm going to turn that over. So I now know, yep, when I come here, I am parallel right down the 5 3/4. And then if I turn it that way, I know I am completely straight. So I hope that helps. If ever you think you've done something wrong, it might not actually you've been doing anything wrong. It can just be the fact of your cardstock that you're using. So this is our white, and I am straight down the 5 1/2. So I know that's going to be perfect. And then this could be my printed insert, stamped insert. It could be my trim me insert. Could be a number of things. So before we go on to that panel strip, let's go in and mat and layer. So in the last video, I used our Stix2 double-sided tissue tape, and this one, just so that I'm using a few different adhesives, let's just use our glue. So if you're using Hunkydory's, which will be linked in the description, it's the wet glue, and if you're using Stix2, in the description, or of course you could be using whichever one that you want. So let's go on to the back here. And in the last tutorial I was talking about low water content, and that just means that you really don't need to have a lot. If it's a good quality glue with a low water content, it means, and you've seen it there, you need very, very little indeed. So do you know something? I think, not in the last video, but the one before, did I have issues with my glue then? I've got a funny feeling I did. So therefore, do you know what I'm going to do? Let's just go back to the tape so I can sort that another time. So even although we're going to be attaching this onto our card, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I do all my mats and layers to start with. So decorate it with your pattern papers, designer, adorable, scorable, geo designs, Matastic. Do all of that to start with, including that panel strip. Do all the decorating, and then you're going to then attach it right at the end. Let me just take my scissors, just scraggly end there. So I'm going to take these last couple, and I'll come with the end of my tape. Let's get another one. And then I'll do the last back panel. So it really is, once you've done one of them, and for a lot of people it is that Z-fold panel strip that some people struggle to get their head around, whether of course it's, well, how do I create it, whether it's at the base of an 8x8 card blank, or how do you create it yourself. Once you get your head around that and then just flipping it around, it really is a simple but a real wow card, certainly depending on how you decorate it, whether you have little bits popping from behind, whether you use it to layer toppers on or sentiments on. It's always a crowd pleaser. And it's always one where people will lift, and when they see the actual style, they'll look to see how it was made. And as I said previously, whenever you make someone a card, whether just for family, whether it's just for friends, please, if you do anything for me, please make sure you put handmade by on the back and put some form of communication. Don't put your mobile number. I would not recommend your mobile number unless you have a mobile that you just use for like a card making business or for work purposes. But other than that, on mine I have my email address, has handmade by Craig Laird. It has my email address and it also has my Facebook handle, so they can always have a little nosy, because you might be making a card for a family or a friend and you never know who's going to be looking at it and see it and want a card. And it just makes, sometimes if there's no info on the back and the person wants to ask, sometimes they won't ask, oh, who made that? Sometimes they can be a little bit shy, whereas if you already have your details on the back, they don't have to worry about that. They can just take your details straight from the back. So now that we've done that front part, you could see decorated the sides, and then you could have your insert on the back. Let's go in. So that one I know is of course 2x6. I'm still going to mat and layer the back as well, because when you open you can see in there, and you can see how you can see all the workings in that I've done. Obviously this was relatively quick because this was one that I've done for a show, whereas at home what I would do is I would mat and layer the inside. What I would even do is before I stick the toppers down, I would even add mat and layer onto the back of the actual topper, even if it's just the pattern paper or just the red, but just it's that little bit of attention to detail. And then I would obviously just put my foam pad in a better position so it's not seen. All the little details, that's all the little details that matter, and then can enable you to add a little extra penny or two onto your cards. So we're going to go in, so it's 6 by 2 inches. So let's go 5 3/4 by 1 3/4. We're going to do that twice. So let's do the same. What's that? Oh yeah, perfect. 5 3/4 by 1 3/4. But I would also say as well, that will be going that way. I would still just mat and layer that whole strip. Now I know you're not going to see that part there, but you know what, for me it's just as easier, it's just as quick. Mat and layer the whole lot. I don't have to worry about, I know that size in there, that's going to be 3.5 by 2 inches, but just to avoid all that fussing about, I would just mat and layer the whole lot. And then that bit there, these ones here, the only difference is for that one, when it's folded that way onto the card, I won't mat and layer that because you're not going to see it. So that's pointless. So I need 3 for those, which is 3 inch by 2 inch. So let's take that one. So let's do 1 3/4 by 2 3/4. Just going to mat and lay there. We'll get another one, 2 3/4. Yep. And then we'll get one here. Yep. 2 3/4 by 1 3/4. And then there we go. So let's come in with our tape, or your choice of adhesive. So whatever I have used, Hunkydory and Stix2, I will add in the description. I will link it in the description for you to check out. I will even add the premium paper pads. Not only will I add the Patchwork Pals, I will use the additional one that came with it, being sure it was Country Garden it was called. I'll link that in it as well. All the items that I link are available in stock at the time of me filming and posting this. If you're watching it in the future, then of course you just need to keep in mind that some things might no longer be available. Alright, so let's mat and layer these ones here. I knew that was a beautiful. I could just feel it starting to dip down. So if you find that with tape or your tape runners, it just grabs a little bit too soon, don't peel it back, pull it apart. So let's just say, for argument's sake, that's stuck down there. Don't try and peel it off, because what's all that's going to happen is all that residual tape is going to end up sticking. What you want to do is, it does dip, what you want to do is just pull it. You might need to give it a little bit of a tug, but just pull it instead of bending, and then that should separate it. And even although it's a fibrous card and this is a tissue tape, it should come off relatively clean. Hey guys, sorry, there was a little glitch just there, so it just then cut off, and then we're just going to start again there. So I've not done anything as to where we just left off, so let's just crack on and let's have a look and get this one finished. So I've taken these little panels here, and then we're just going to press them in. So really easy, really simple. And you can do a multitude of sizes, and they don't even have to be square, they can be rectangles as well, but really fun. Get creative with them. So once again, let me just double check. So that's going to go that way, so that base is going to be stuck down. So let's add that onto there, and then what we're going to do is that's going to stick there, and then that's going to stick there. So this is easy enough. You're just going to pop your adhesive on that full rectangle that you can see here. Now this one, what you want to just make sure is, you just want to make sure that your adhesive doesn't come past that centre line. So what you could do if you want to, is get that lined up, roughly, and then what you could do is just do a little bit of a line. I know you won't see that line, but I can see that little pencil line just here, so I know not to come past that pencil line when it comes to, of course, the adhesive, otherwise it will be starting to be seen through the back. So let's bring that back in here, so we've got that one there. So if we take them off there, let's just go that way. It's just because I've got that little bit of a dip because I've got my matting there. What I'm going to do for this one is, I'm not going to go quite central. Let's come down a little bit, and then you're just going to go flush right against the edge here, like so. And then all we're going to do is, let's take that off here, there, there, and then there. Let's just hold it, get it back into place. What I like to do is, I just like to hold it down, that you can see here, and then lay that down, and then press down, like so. And then there we go. You've got your 6x6 Z-fold card, and we've even added that matte layer into the middle there, which then, once you've decorated it, you can decorate it in whichever way that you want. You don't have to put toppers on them, you can just leave it matte and layered if you want to. But as you can see, just finishing it all the way round, nice mats and layers, somewhere to write your sentiment, your verse, or of course it could be your pre-printed or your trim me insert pads. And then there we go. Gone. a little bit dark, don't I? There we go. That's how you can create your Z fold cards. So whether you maybe you're experienced and you just don't always think about different concepts, you go, oh yeah, let's give that one a shot. Sometimes it's just enough to jog your memory. Even me just putting a picture on social saying this video is available, we go, oh yeah, I know how to do that just by seeing Craig's picture. So you might go and do it yourself, or if you need that helping hand, that video's there for you. If you like that one, give me the thumbs up. If there's any other ones that you'd like to see in black and white forum, then please just let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed it, give me the thumbs up. And yes, hit that bell notification so you'll be alerted the next time I pop a tutorial up. Rightio, have a lovely rest of your day, or have a lovely day, depending on when you're watching this, and we'll see you again shortly. Bye.